Hi everyone, in today's quick tip video I'm just going to show you how I clean my mats. Now I still see comments in various places about the ScanNCut mats being, rubbish. They lose their stick very easily. If you have followed me for any period of time, you will know that many years ago I did a video letting people know how I used to re-stick my mats using the jumbo tip zig repositionable glue. And I know many people started buying that glue, and I've seen the information shared all over the internet. And then in more recent years, because the jumbo tip zig glue was getting harder to get hold of, I started using a bookbinding glue. However, over a year ago, I happened to be in a B&M shop. So I don't know if B&M is anywhere else in the world, but in the UK, it's a shop where you can buy all kinds of things. Food, homewares, children's things, lamps, all that kind of stuff. And I happened to be in there and I came across this product. And I'd never heard of it or seen it before. It says it on the bottle. It's an extra large bottle. It's solvent free and it's an all-purpose degreaser. And the actual reason I bought this was because I'd had an air fryer. I wanted a way of cleaning it. Although it's like non-stick lined, it has like a tray in the bottom, and the tray obviously sometimes gets greasy. And I'd seen this, use it in the air fryer. And then I started reading the information on the back of the label. So on the front, it says it's an all-purpose degreaser. You can use it for fabrics, metals, plastics. The only cleaner you'll ever need, it says. This isn't sponsored, by the way. I have no affiliation with this company or B&M. Then on the back, it says elbow grease is formulated to remove grease and oil in all situations. It's ideal for removing grease spots from fabrics, porous metals, and for removing grease from kitchen surfaces, and for cleaning oily surfaces such as engines and machinery. And then it kind of goes on to list that you can use it in the kitchen, the bathroom, on vehicles, outdoors, and fabrics. I just had this kind of light bulb moment and thought, I wonder if it'll work on a ScanNCut mat. I tried it and it worked brilliantly. I have to say, since using this, I've never restuck any of my mats at all. In fact, I threw the zig glue pen away because I'd had it for so long anyway. I'd had it for years, and it was getting a bit crusty around the cap, so I threw it away. The bookbinding glue I do still have, but, hand on heart, since buying this over a year ago, I've never restuck any of my mats. All as I do is clean them with this, and they literally come back to like a brand new mat. So the way that I kind of work out if my mat needs cleaning now, rather than resticking, is I can normally tell when I go to put the plastic cover back on it. So as you can see, I'll put this plastic cover back on my mat and I smooth it down, and then usually you can see that it doesn't, it doesn't want to stay in place. Despite the fact that the mat still does feel a bit sticky, in many places, this plastic doesn't want to stick. So for me, that's now my kind of guide to tell me that it's time I need to clean the mat. So you can't just go off the stickiness alone. I am still using this mat. I've been using it this week and things have been staying in place and not moving. But as I say, I like to just keep on top of my mats now. And the minute that this plastic, starts to not want to stay in place, I just think, right, I'll give it a quick clean. Now, I've used this stuff on every single mat that I own, apart from the piercing mat. I've not used it on that because that is still very sticky. But I've used it on my standard mats. I've used it on my low tack mat. I've actually got one drying over in the kitchen that I've just sprayed this morning. I'm going to show you how I do it with this one. So I've got my low tack mat drying out, waiting for me to put the plastic back on it, and then that will be good to go again. And I use it on my fabric mats. So my low tack, my standard, and my fabrics. Now this mat, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this shape here. This mat must be 4 years old because this is fabric that I cut. I don't know if I ever did a video on it, but I think I definitely put the free cutting file on my website when Redded C word was here back in 2020. So, you know, you can see that I've cut the shape from that was for fabric masks. And so, as I say, this mat has got to be at least 4 years old, if not older. And I've restuck this. Now, I don't know if you'll hear this, but if I peel that off, this is very, very sticky. This mat you can see it wants to cling. The plastic wants to cling to the mat. So that's how I know that this mat is perfectly fine. And again, if I go to put the plastic back on it and smooth it down and lift it up, the plastic isn't going anywhere unless I physically tug it. And here's my other one. This is another one that's really old, and you can hear how sticky this is. So these have all been done with this. So the way I do it, I'm not saying this is the right or wrong way. I'm not saying that you have to do it. I'm just giving you a tip. I take the plastic off. I normally take this over to my kitchen, and on a kitchen work surface or on the draining board, wherever I've got, you know, the space, I will spray my mat with this, and then I just keep an old brush and I spread this around all over the mat. Again, I try not to go off the edge of the mat to like where the ruler markings are. That's just something I've always done in the days when I used to, you know, restick my mats. I don't think it makes any difference. I am getting bits of this stuff on it and it's not bringing the ink off. And you'll see, depending on how grubby your mat is, you'll see that the yellow liquid starts to turn grubby. And I literally just, you know, do that with this little scrubby brush. And then I leave that. You can see how dirty it's going. That's the liquid picking up all the dirt. And then I just leave this in the kitchen, and I, you know, anything from 10 minutes up to, I even forgot one day and went back in about 4 hours later. And it was, you know, obviously just still sat there like this. Once I decide that I think it's been on the mat long enough, I then hold the mat over my sink and I just get a jug of plain water and I rinse it off. I throw water on it, a couple of jugs of water to make sure everything's come off, and then I lie it flat on the draining board or on, a kitchen work surface. I generally put a tea towel underneath it, rinse it off with water, and then place that on the tea towel, and I leave it to air dry. And once it's air dry, completely air dry, when you touch it, you'll probably be able to lift the mat up with your fingers because the sticky will have come back to it so well. And then I put my plastic cover back on it, and then it's good to go for a good few amount of cuts again. Like I say, you know, your mat may feel as though it's still got some stick on it, but generally if that plastic sheet, when you put that back on top of your mat, if it's not wanting to stay down after you've rubbed it down, that's generally the kind of indication to me, okay, it's about time I gave the mat a clean. And just to show you, this is my low tack mat that I've cleaned this morning. I'm not sure if you'll see it, but it has still got water on it. It's not dry at all, so it won't feel sticky. It just still feels wet. And I will just leave it on the side until it's completely dry. Once it's completely dry, normally when you touch it with your fingers, you'll find that it, you know, the sticky has miraculously come back. And generally when you go to pick it up, you can pick the mat up with your fingers because the sticky's come back that well. That is now how I clean and maintain my mats. As I say, I don't restick them at all anymore, and I haven't been doing for well over a year. I've just been using this stuff, and that's all I use. So I hope you found that helpful. If you're in the UK and you happen to see it, I've never actually seen it in a supermarket. Having said that, I've never looked for it. As I say, I came across it one day in B&M. But if you've got some in your kitchen cupboard or you see it, it might be worth picking up a bottle and giving it a try on your mats.